Yeah, I think this is the best way to do. Hello. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Elle, and this is Susty Talks, and it's Christmas. I can't even talk. I'm so excited to just chat today. If you're not familiar what Susty Talks is, I cannot talk. Okay. Right, let me be serious. I'm trying to be more authentic and not editing all my mistakes out, so bear patience. If you're an audio listener and you don't know what's happening, please go to my YouTube. It'll help. But yeah, Susty Talks is a community-centered podcast that is really trying to spark genuine conversations about ethical fashion, about sustainable change, and about intersectional solutions to a lot of different things. And so, I just really hope this online space is a place where we can have a way to drive more positive change, to empower action, to make more sustainable options accessible, and also just relevant to more people. And this is an entirely self-funded initiative. Look at my broken hanger as a mic thing. I still can't figure out the mics for podcasts, so I'm just using my regular YouTube mic on a broken hanger. It's not that serious over here, but yeah, I resell things on eBay to fund my projects, even though I've been forgetting about eBay with the Christmas season and all the things I have in my personal life. But I really am trying to build up my eBay. And then I'm currently working on a Mexican artisanal denim collection on my own. Hopefully it's featured in the Chicago Fashion Week runway shows and stuff like that by next year. And I just really care about the stories of fashion. I care about upcycling and moving away from mainstream narratives of what the fashion industry can mean. And if you're listening again, it's Christmas. Happy Christmas or Merry Christmas. It's Christmas Eve for me. I'm filming one day beforehand. I don't really have any plans for Christmas Eve. I've never been much of a Christmas Eve person. My face is itchy. Wait, give me a second. I never do my makeup on Christmas Eve, so it just feels weird to have stuff on my face right now. I was also saying that a lot of people do things for Christmas Eve. What are you supposed to do? Just shop? But yeah, this podcast is just going to be exploring how we spend so much money on this holiday and what it means, because most likely if you're watching this, you've already exchanged gifts or are going to exchange gifts after listening to this, or maybe you're listening after Christmas and you already have your stuff laying around in your room, you've washed it, you have it in your daily routine now, hopefully, if it was a good gift. But I just can't help but think how we're using our credit cards to buy things for Christmas, and it's really leaving a dent in our wallet. We just shop and shop maybe months in advance for this holiday, and then we spend more months trying to pay it off. So it's actually really strange to me psychologically, but it is an important holiday that does bring about pressure to show our love and stuff, so I kind of get it. But I can't stop thinking about the strikes that are happening in Starbucks right now, in Amazon, and so many different corporations where workers are simply asking to be paid a good, fair wage. I saw recently that Amazon is asking for $30 an hour with union, and then Starbucks, I'm not quite sure what they're asking for, but again, they must just be paying the minimum wage, $14 an hour or less than that. So it's just really hard to survive right now. And days like Christmas just gets harder for low income, poor, working class people who are just simply trying to find joy. I don't hate Christmas. I just hate how we have so much pressure to buy things when we simply can't afford to live anymore. I wish that there was this rando white fat man sneaking into our house, I wish we could just be like flies in the wall and like see this guy be generous and selfless and just come with all these like cool material things to fill the void in our hearts, you know, to fill the joy that we can't find as we work our 9 to 5 in our second job. I don't think that this like magical Santa is ever really gonna come. And if he did come, honestly, I would want him to like give us work, like good paying work. I know as a child, if I had heard myself say that, I'd be like, what's wrong with you? Why would you want Santa to give people jobs? But honestly, it's what we need. Like, all of us want to find a safe way to move forward. We want to feel fulfilled. We want purpose. We're entrenched in capitalism. We're entrenched in consumerism. It's such a focal point in our everyday life. Especially with Christmas, it illustrates this even more, that gifts are a way we express love. Gifts is a way that we find purpose. It shows our thoughtfulness. It allows us to, you know, reach that happiness, that joy that we otherwise don't have in our normal, torturous 9 to 5 plus second job life. And I'm sounding like really harsh and like down in the dumps right now, but like as you see, like with Amazon and these like Starbucks strikes, that's just a moment that we're in as everything gets more and more difficult. Like I even went to the store and like the products themselves are so much smaller than normal. And I'm like, how is this smaller? And it's like the same price as before. I just don't get it. Yeah. So materiality is such an important thing because it does, in a way, define our quality of life. It defines how much we need to invest in certain things or other things. So for example, like if we're paying too much money in rent, like do you really have the money to spend it on a vacation or on a nice little trinket? You know, it does really influence overall like how we operate in our reality. I just really wish we had a better system to handle holidays like Christmas. Like all the boxes and all like the plastics and all the things are just going to go into the dumpsters. And what if you don't like the gift? You're just going to throw it away. And it's just all trash. I've been wrapping my presents in newspapers for the past 3 years. And people know it's my gifts because they're wrapped in newspapers. And they're like, why did you wrap it in newspapers? And I was like, because it's paper. Like it's cute. And then I just put a little bow on it and I try to find the bows in the thrift stores and I just like place it on top and then I just write like a little cute letter and put it on top of the gift and it's personalized and people are like, oh, okay, like we know it's her gift. And I use like the comic section of the newspaper that has all like the little drawings and stuff. So it's not like just words or articles. It's like the cute little illustrations and it's vintage articles because I usually go and scout them out. I used to work at a thrift store and I'd be like, I want all the newspapers, and I would like literally grab the most interesting drawings. So I don't see anything bad with it. It's just, it's being more creative, being more intentional, taking your time with it, and being okay with stepping outside of like the norm of like how a gift should be or look like. It kind of reminds me how if you get a big gift that's super expensive or super coveted within the times that we're living in, it shows that you really care, or quote unquote care. It shows like the sense of love and like that the other person really put an effort into it. But I know some people that get like super expensive gifts and they don't even like the thing. Like it's an electric bike, but like they don't care about bikes. So why did this person give them the bike? Just to prove that they could spend like $1,500 on the bike. So it's just kind of like counterintuitive that this logic of like if it's expensive, if it's trendy, if it's the most coveted thing, this person will automatically love what I'm giving them. But it doesn't really work that way. And I feel like gift giving and like materiality is like all about perceptions. I don't want to get too meta or like too intellectual, but like when we're going into the mall, we're just kind of predicting what the other person will like. We are predicting what they're going to feel. We're predicting like how they're going to use it in their real life. So there's this sense of like trying to understand someone and trying to like emulate that within a material thing. You had no control of how it was made, because when you're walking in the mall, everything is already made, everything is already produced, and it's just waiting for you to buy it. Like the brand doesn't know you. The brand doesn't know the person you're trying to give them the thing to. There's no context in which the brand used in your own lived experience or another person's lived experience to cater to. It's just hard to buy a mass consumed item and expect it to work for a lot of different people. But I think that's why trends are so powerful, because they standardized humans and people, because they want to feel accepted and they want to feel loved and don't want to stray out of the box. They're like, this trend is like needed, it's valid for my life, even though it's not catered to them. And I think everyone just kind of expects gifts not to be catered to them on a mainstream big consumerism level, because how the hell is the brand supposed to cater for every single person on earth? Like, that would not be your profitable business unless you can, like, you know, specialize in customizations, but that's usually just like very niche businesses that have the machinery. The normalization of giving out standardized gifts, it just seems so weird to me. I don't understand how we got to a point where we can like go to a store, go to a mall, pick an item out and be like, this represents the person, or this is something the person would enjoy or love or care about, when it's just like a standard item. I mean, like, you can always gift someone a vacuum, you can always gift someone a blender, a car per se, but it's like, how do you know you're actually going to please them with it? Like, maybe they already have a blender, maybe they already have a car, which most likely they do, it's just an old one, or maybe they already have a bike of sorts. Why would you think an additional extra, more trendier, updated item would actually, you know, help them? So these are just like questions I always ask myself, and I think we've just kind of accepted standardization, and we've accepted that material gift giving is the way that we show our love, even though there's other like love languages. So I was seeing that there's like quality time, words of affirmation, physical touch, and I feel like Christmas has some of these elements. Like, we have quality time when we have dinner with each other, when we have the holiday parties that we host. We have like words of affirmation with the cards that we give out, with the compliments that we provide. Physical touch can be when we hug each other, when we sit next to each other, when, you know, we pat each other on the back, literally and metaphorically. It's just the true anxiety, the true stress point, the true like focal point, I feel like, is the gifts. Like, would Christmas be Christmas without the gifts? And if you said yes, you'd be the Grinch. And if you said no, then that's a typical experience for a lot of people across the globe who care and participate in Christmas. That's just the reality of it. Like, we cannot take away the gifts, the materiality, outside of Christmas. And Christmas is supposed to represent joy and like happiness and like festivities. So it's basically consumerism hidden behind like love. And there's like no way to get out of that. Like, we are in this tradition and we've made it fun. But I've seen Netflix series, I forget the name of it, I'll put it somewhere in the description, but there's been a lot of people who have realized the impact that we have out of consumerism, like out of overproduction. And I don't know, I think it's like curious how a lot of people don't realize these truths, like how there's a lot of waste, how Christmas is a consumeristic holiday, how we're just like perpetuating standardized shopping behaviors of like buying things that are already made on a very mass scale and just giving it out. Like, most of us are not really addressing the truth, even though we're participating in it, even though we're like part of it. It's kind of hard to analyze something that you're so deeply entrenched into, because in the past I was like, oh my god, Christmas is just like the best time ever, but I didn't really understand why. I didn't really understand the underlying aspects of it. It was just like this blind joy to participate in something that felt special. It's not until we like watch a documentary or start to think more deeply that this illusion of like happiness and joy gets broken down. Again, I sound very cynical, but it's me just trying to make a point that we are consuming a lot of things, maybe media or traditions or norms, that we're not really attacking or questioning most of the time. But I think we all know that Christmas is just kind of like what I just explained it to be. If you say this on a Christmas holiday party, people are going to be like, shut up, you're ruining the vibe, like you're ruining the magic, like we don't want the truth, like we want to just have a day where we can all act happy and like do our little thing and not think about life too much. I kind of want to explore that like blank head mentality. That's the theory that I've been thinking a lot about, like how we're, or maybe I am complacent of like not wanting to have too much complex thoughts in my head. It's like quote unquote bad to talk about the truth on days that are supposed to be special. So for example, like on Thanksgiving, you're not supposed to talk about politics, and that's like a rule a lot of people follow by so they don't get into conflict, because like so many different perspectives exist that to bring those up would just cause tension. But I feel like it says a lot about where we are at in society, where to have fun, to have harmony, to have good parties, we need to have small talk. We need to have blank moments, blank thoughts, I guess, to create this illusion of like happiness and festivity. But I do believe in like humanity. I do think we're very like smart human beings. We can be critical thinkers. It can also really be hard to do that when we are so busy with that 9 to 5 and the second job and like all these other responsibilities. My head always goes towards those that are less busy, and I always wonder like, what are they thinking about? Like, how are they filling up their time? And if you don't work and have the means to support yourself or have a job that's super flexible, like I've seen influencers who just barely work, it's like, how are you having a quality life? Like, what are you doing with your thoughts, I guess, is my question. I don't know. I just think a lot about what other people are thinking about, especially when they have a lot of free time. Yeah. One of the things I've been also reflecting on is, I don't know if you guys have watched the Gatsby, the movie where Leo DiCaprio stars in. You know the movie. I just can't pronounce it. But basically there's this scene where the main women characters are in a room with beautiful curtains, and there's like wind and there's sun, and the curtains are billowing out, and the women are just like sitting on the couch sipping on their like expensive ass drinks, and they're very formal, beautiful dresses, and it seems like they're gonna go to a party, but they're just chilling, and these just rich women are sipping their drinks, and that's their life. Like, they're gossiping, they're just lounging, and this literal bubble of vanity. Like, they have nothing to do, and they fill their time with nothingness just for the sake of it, because they can and because they want to. I can't help to think, but this is like the American dream. Like, this is what people want. They want to lounge in a room full of vanity, full of like light and air and luxury, and not have stress, not have a care in the world. But it's essentially coming from the profit of exploited people, but they're complacent, and they're like, well, we're lucky enough, to be in this room, while other people are working very hard jobs. But who wouldn't want nothingness for the sake of nothingness? Like, if you could be in that room, would you be in that room, or would you decide to work a 9 to 5? Like, I think we all know the answer to that. But with this like quote unquote room of nothingness and like quote unquote blank head theory for the privileged, I just wonder if it causes a decline in intellectualism, given that they're complacent and given that they just want to talk about nothing. Like, small talk is such a big thing for like privileged people. I don't understand it. Like, if you have more time, wouldn't you want to read more books, or like, go to school, or do something meaningful, like help out in food pantries, or explore the deeper meanings of life? That's just me. Maybe that's my bias. Maybe that's just me projecting. But I also feel like there's a lack of intellectualism given the current digital era that we're in, that really reminds me how we're very lonely as creatures that are spending 6+ hours every day online. I just wonder why more people are turning to like TikTok or Instagram as a way to fill their life, or like, I guess, fill the void. And maybe it's just filling it with nothingness, because I was seeing someone be like, I don't think it's a huge thing if TikTok gets banned. Like, maybe it's doing us a favor. Like, I have not learned anything from TikTok. And I can't help but agree. Like, how have we learned from TikTok? The point I'm getting to is like wealth, like true wealth. Like, what does that really mean? It's the American dream to sit home and do nothing, to have time to just like sip wine, to gossip, to be filled with like materiality and it's every way and it's every form, where people are literally there to serve your every whim and your every desire? Or is freedom and liberty and justice meant to be something else? Because for me, I guess my bias is like, well, if you have all this free time and you're trying to achieve the American dream, then you should be fighting for truth. You should be fighting for not only your own freedom, but for others' freedom, to fight for justice. Like, let's go help people. Life is hard. Sometimes it's too much to fight. It's too much to be engaged in community in a real way. Maybe it's too much effort to care, especially within an individual society. And we just go to social media because it's easy, it's comfy. You just go on your bed and you doom scroll. You judge people behind a screen and you form connections in that way through like a parasocial psychological thing. It's just like I really wish we could find more connection beyond materiality, beyond digital formats, where we can like feel seen and heard beyond, you know, podcasts or YouTube videos. There's a reason why I'm on social media, why I'm doing videos and why I'm doing podcasts. It's because I struggle with real human connection, and I've always known that. And it's also really hard to find friends after you graduate college. I think there's also a lot of excuses of being afraid of like true human connection, which I also recognize in myself. Like, it's scary to put yourself out there. It's scary to be seen and then judged. And I'm also a yes person. So like, I will always say yes, no matter if I agree or not agree. And that's a really bad thing, okay? It's a really bad thing. And I'm always afraid of admitting it, but I'm not a no person, and I need to learn how to say no. I was seeing this influencer on social media that was explaining how Christmas just kind of brings out where you're at in life. So she was saying it's like a mirror, where if you're feeling like depressed or lonely, Christmas will only just illustrate that even more. If you're feeling happy, it will echo out into more happiness. If you're feeling festive, you'll just have more festivity in the air. But for me, I think my thoughts are one of disillusionment and fear, and someone that just is discontent with capitalism and consumerism. And I'm very truthful and I'm very blunt with what I see. And I just really wish people were more blunt about like, this is just about the gifts. Like, what else is it? Because it is like, beyond that, are we really creating friendships? Are we really creating connections, community? I wonder when, as a society, we can move ourselves out of that material expectation, that material lens, to move outside of like that blank head theory of outside of the, you know, small talk. But the question is like, how do we like actually form genuine and authentic experiences? Like, is it really normal to expect us to not give each other gifts? Because in a way, we've always been sharing trinkets since we were like in fucking caves, you know? But that kind of reminds me of my ancestors and like my past legacy. Like, how did they live their lives? Because my parents are from Mexico, and then their ancestors actually lived out of caves, like in the mountains. And it reminds me of like artisanal cultural sustainability and how that's so important in the midst of like capitalism and quote unquote modern Western society. Like I feel very disconnected from, I guess, the things that matter as well. Like, I wonder how long they took to make gifts. Like, were they handmade? Did they use dirt? Like, was it clay items? Or I just don't even know. Like, I don't even know what's authentic. I don't even know what's real. I don't really have a trained eye to see what's culturally significant as well. So when I go to Mexico, when I see an embroidered shirt, I don't even know if that's real. Like, that's how much standardization have killed my sense of appreciation for my culture. Because I don't even know what I'm looking at. I don't know if it's real. I don't know if it's representative of traditions, of real skills, of real stories. Like, I am disconnected in so much of a sense that I can't even know if something was made by the hands of a human. Okay? Like, what is handcrafted? The lack of frame of reference and having nothing to compare nothing with to know what's real is just, it murks the truth. And it murks a lot of issues in the world, especially within the fast fashion industry. If I see a machine made embroidery piece and I don't know if it's fake or real or like even machine made, I'll just think it's like, oh, it's an embroidered artisanal shirt, but it's really not. Yeah, I feel like aesthetics is everything. Aesthetics is king. I work at a vintage shop right now, and people are just buying things based on how it feels and looks. They don't even know what the brand is. They don't even know the history of the clothing, and they're just like, I love the vibe. And I'm like, the vibe? Is that it? Is that all you're doing here? Just the vibes? But I think fashion can be reduced down to that a lot of the times. Yeah, the things, the clothing that we're going to be gifting, most likely you've received is like from Western brands. So like Shein, or American Eagle or whatever else. And that's just the norm. Like, we're not really going to spend more than like $50 on a good piece. And it's just easier to buy from like fast fashion, especially when you can just go online and have it shipped. There's convenience, there's trust there, there's just a lot of like sense of like, okay, this is what we're supposed to do. Because if you give someone a really unique piece, how will you know they're actually gonna like it? It's safe to be in standardized worlds of living, you know? Like, it's safe to just give someone a basic sweater and be like, yep, this works, this is good. I don't know, I'm just being very meta, because like, what even is fashion? Like, why are we gifting people like random sweaters? Like, what like I saw a TikTok recently of like how it's funny. I saw a TikTok recently of how a lady came to visit her sister, and her sister's husband put on a sweater that she had gifted him last Christmas, and he had told her, oh, I wear it all the time, and he put it on. In the TikTok, all you see is her zooming in on the sweater, and it still has like the sticker that says medium on it. Like, he literally lied that he would wear it all the time and just put it on the day she came, but he forgot to take off the thing. So she was like, well, he was lying, like the thing is still on it. So he didn't even wear it once. I think that was his first time wearing it, because when you wear something like that and you wash it, like the sticker comes off. So if it still has a sticker, like he's never worn it before. But it's just that was just a standard sweater. Okay, it was like a random beige pullover sweater for a guy. My God, we just want to be comfortable. I feel like we want to do things that feel good, look good, are easy, will resonate with a lot of people. But again, it's so absent-minded. I want us to be more curious. I don't know how else to say it. Like, how do we become more curious as people? Like, why don't we question the system? Why are we not removing ourselves out of the doom scroll, out of the brain rot? Like, I'm trying to push myself to like go to gyms and to go to different like events, different clubs, to, you know, explore the world and build connections. And it takes time. Like, it does take time to build genuine interactions and to find places where we're accepted and where we're loved no matter what. I honestly feel this lingering thing that the less we think about things, the more privilege we have. The less we try, the more privilege we have, the more abundance we have in a way. Because I've noticed that rich people outsource a lot of tasks. So like, they don't even make their own food. Maybe this is just me trying to dog on rich people, and I'm trying to like not make it too obvious. Because they don't even make their own food. And then people clean their houses, and then they have assistants. So like, what I'm trying to say is like, where are they critically thinking? If they're not thinking about anything, what are they thinking about? And this is the point. This is the point I'm trying to make. Small talk and like quote unquote small lives are a privilege of the comfortable. Because I see so many activists, so many people fighting for a better world, a better job, and they're the ones that are the most impacted by social issues, by these systemic inequities. And yet, where are the rich people out and doing real shit for people? Is it normal to expect rich people to not give a shit about others, to not fight for a better world? Now, you can do fundraisers, you can donate, you can volunteer, but like, are you actually attacking systemic issues? And I don't think they are, because they directly benefit from the system. You're not going to dismantle something you're directly benefiting from, right? If you profit from reselling vintage pieces, are you going to dismantle the fashion industry as it is? Probably not, you know? And as like a poor person, I feel like I'm trapped in the harsh truths of our reality. I am feeling the symptoms of some systemic issues. I am literally breathing the air of plant pollution and traffic pollution and all these other pollutions. I'm surprised I don't even have cancer in my body right now because of all the chemicals. I'm literally front line of inequity, oppression, and lack of resources, while the rich people are all the way in the freaking back looking at us choke and being like, so did you see how Nancy wore that really nasty dress the other day? Like, they don't care about me. They're not going to step up willingly for me. And they don't even bother to make their own food. They're not bothering with the everyday logistics of washing their clothing or cleaning the floors or, you know, driving themselves. They have like Ubers taking them every place back and forth. And I think that stress and that pressure that everyday normal poor people have literally breaks them down. You can see the wrinkles form. You can see their bodies break down. You can see them literally disintegrate, especially when food is so expensive. Like, how are you going to properly, you know, feed yourself, nurture yourself quite literally? It's kind of impossible. There's a reason why rich people look younger than they are. It's because they have the resources to literally take care of themselves as they should be. And I'm not saying that rich people need more stress or more pressure. It's just, I think we all deserve to live a good and safe and dignified life. It's just the inequities and the division shows the difference between qualities of life. And I think thinking more deeply is something that we all need to do to get there. And it can just start off with grappling with life, grappling with why certain holidays exist, like Christmas, and not feeling like we have to do things as they are right now. We don't have to follow the norms. I think questioning hierarchies is also very important, because I was saying the hierarchy of needs model, which is like a theory that there's tiers in which we need to cover so that we can reach self-actualization. And the idea here is like you start off at the bottom and you go upwards, up the pyramid. And so in the bottom, you need to cover basic things like food, clothing, and other things like that, so that we can slowly move up to become more aware, more present, or to reach, I don't know, whatever you want to call self-actualization, the God state, you can say. I like the idea that we're all reaching self-actualization every single day, no matter how much money we have, or no matter if we have like quote unquote food or not, because we're all living and engaging with world on a very consistent basis. Like, we're all making decisions, we're all participating in ethics, doing what we think is right or wrong every single day. I was watching Mr. Beast's first 2 episodes of his gaming show on Amazon Prime, but basically the show really illustrates the psychology of people and their thoughts in a more clear and concise way than every day. So for example, it's like, if you press the button, you can get $20,000, but your whole team will be eliminated. And then one young guy pressed the button, and the guy justified it saying, well, I have a family to take care of. And another guy that was eliminated said, well, I have a family and friends too. Like, you're not the only person here. But I'm really interested in that show just because it illustrates what we're willing to compromise on, values-wise, whether we care about others in the process of our decisions and stuff. But all of us, no matter if we're poor, that doesn't mean that we're not self-actualized. So I don't really agree with the hierarchy of needs. But my point is more so of like how we're living and engaging in our life is already happening. And it may not always be super obvious where we stand unless it's under times of like mass stress or mass celebration like these holidays. I wonder what a good person looks like and what it means to be conscious of certain things, because we can be conscious, I cannot say that word. We can be conscious of Christmas, right? We can be conscious of its materiality, but how do we move forward with that truth, and how do we act is like what defines us as people. I don't know what it would mean to be a quote unquote a very self-actualized person or trying to move towards self-actualization when I'm complacent in holidays that just feed us these certain ideologies of how to express our love, and the traditions and norms of like participating in Christmas Eve and Christmas Eve and going to the cocktail parties and going to these certain things and expected to wear red or green or like the Grinch or whatever. If you don't participate, you feel left out though. Like, you feel like you're not doing things that have merit. Like, you're not good living a quote unquote good life, or you're not creating those happy memories that you should be. You're not doing what everyone else is doing. But again, like, we're just humans, right? And we want to be understood, like we want to be part of stuff, we want to live a normal life, right? To what extent and when do we push for different things. Like, when do we push away capitalism? When is it appropriate to fight back? Because strikes for Starbucks, I think, have been called strike miss, and it was very intentional. And I think it just illustrates how we have to like literally push when there's so much complacency and so much materiality, to the point where if we do something to retaliate, it will massively affect our everyday normal lives. So like Amazon striking right now during Christmas, people's packages are going to get messed up and it affects their lives, and they're going to care because of that. So it's like we have to force people out of this like sense of normalcy and push them to be more morally grounded in what is important, such as worker rights. Because what's more important, worker rights or your gift? So it brings you into this pressure point to wake up and be like, who am I and what am I going to think in this moment? Because if your package just comes in a normal way with no disruption, you're really not going to think about the worker rights of, you know, Amazon workers. But if you're personally affected and you're like, oh my God, like, what am I going to do now? Like, will Susie Ann still love me if my package does not come in time? What will people think? Like, should I like stop buying from Amazon, or should I support this? Like, it brings up a lot of questions and it takes us out of that blank space. Yeah, I don't know. I think I've been rambling a lot. I don't know if this made sense. I think I'm just in the echo chamber, or looking at myself and being like, what are we even doing? Why are people not critically thinking? Like, why are we not really connecting with each other beyond things? Like, how do we feel happy and fulfilled? How do we reach self-actualization? Are we already meeting our basic needs and just doing more to fill the void? How are we truly talking to each other? And these questions will take time, and it'll take more moments to see each other for who you really are. And maybe I need to just like go outside and touch the snow or something. But I was recently seeing a post that the male reindeers lose their horns during the winter time. So the reindeers pulling Santa's sleigh are women reindeers because they have, you know, the horns. So I feel like this is a feminist issue. Oh my gosh. Christmas is being backed by the female. Yeah, I don't know. Christmas is weird. And then I didn't even talk about how Christmas is so linked to like Catholicism and religion. Oh my gosh. I think it's just a white man's holiday, and it's just all a way for us to spend more money. And I'm like, how are we reaching self-actualization here? But yeah, I think we're all on a journey of figuring ourselves out and figuring out like how we can become our most self-aware human, right? That's my goal, that we're trying to like reach our best self. But I do be seeing other videos where like some lady went to Ross and all the pillows were on the floor and all the store was trashed and there was long ass lines. And I'm like, why are we doing this? Like, why are we tossing things on the floor? Like, why are we making a mess? Do you know what the truth is? If you're still listening, I feel like our society is very, very lost. We are so lost as a society. I just really wish we could spend more time journaling off our phones, thinking more about ethics and how to be a good person, where we're providing outcomes that benefit everyone versus individualism versus our own quote-unquote family. And then we're gonna see all these hauls on YouTube after Christmas of people being like, yeah, I got a Mercedes-Benz, I got my Doc Martens, I got my fucking 2026 phone. Like, what is this for? Like, are we just trying to prove that we're loved, that we're worthy? Like, why do we gotta prove ourselves? These are just things. These are just things, guys. Like, if we already have a shirt, why do we need someone else to give us a shirt? If you already have a phone, why do we need another phone? I think we've lost a plot. And maybe I'm losing my plot in this podcast trying to find the plot of a lost plot. Oh my God. And I ask a lot of questions to hopefully figure it out. And hopefully you ask yourself some questions too of like why everything is happening. I don't know. Maybe we are a lost cause in a lot of ways, but I want to have faith in humanity, and I think that's what Christmas should be about. I also really don't like the idea of dressing up as a sexy Santa Claus wife. That thought came out of nowhere. But yeah, I do kind of feel lost within these times. What am I trying to say? Anyways, I kind of do feel lost during the holidays. I don't have any plans for Christmas Eve. I don't feel the pressure to do anything. I guess to rest is the real privilege, to sit and look at the pretty walls and wonder what Susie Ann is wearing for the holiday party tomorrow. I really do wish Susie Ann the best, though. And I don't know. Hopefully you'll like this podcast. I ramble a lot. If you're listening, oh my god, you're brave for listening, because I just went on so many tangents. Okay, I'm gonna go take a nap or something because I'm trying to revive my faith in humanity. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, if you liked it, please give this podcast a thumbs up. And if you listened, thank you so much, because I don't even know what I'm doing here. And thank you for the special hanger, for bearing with me. Should I just use this as a podcast thingy? A podcast mic holder? I kind of like it. It's giving like, she doesn't really care. It's just I don't have money for a different mic, okay? This works, okay? Materialism, see? Oh my gosh, I'm entrenched in it. Okay, well, see you later. Thank you for listening to Susty Talks. Bye.